take it for granted. We appreciate the presence of the committee, always represented by the chairman and other members whenever the need arises, whenever we call you. For the first time in 8 years, the Ministry of Information and National Orientation had the National Council on Information held in Kaduna. And we want to place on record, especially the esteemed presence and contribution of this committee, represented ably by its chairman in Kaduna. The recommendations therein have been put together and will be put forward to government for consideration so that the sector can be improved. Because I have been told that this is a very short time, I may not have the luxury of going through my speech. But suffice is to say that the Ministry of Information and National Orientation, as we can see, is saddled with the responsibility of ensuring that information that Nigerians require to come from government to them is made available in a timely, accurate, honest, and consistent manner. And that is what the ministry and all of its agencies are doing at all times. When we took up this assignment, one of the things that we agreed to do is that we must ensure that trust and confidence returns to the public information sector. We have seen over the years the gradual erosion of trust from the Nigerian public to the government. And the irony is that it is the same people who have elected this government. But over the years, we have seen that trust has broken down. So as Minister of Information and National Orientation, consistent with the mandate of Mr. President, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, our desire is to ensure, like I said earlier, that information that Nigerians require to know is given out to them unhindered, honestly, timely, and as accurately as possible. And that is what all of us, the minister and all heads of agencies, have undertaken to do since we came on board, and that is what we are doing. You have noticed, Mr. Chairman, that as a way of ensuring that that happens, we have consolidated what was started earlier, the issue of the ministerial press briefings. In the course of the preceding year, about 25 ministers have appeared to tell Nigerians at the National Press Center of what they are doing in their various ministries, so that Nigerians will be better informed about the activities of government and also get feedback through the Nigerian media so that they can also go back where there needs to be amends, they do it. This we intend to consolidate this year. More and more ministers will appear before the Nigerian public so that they will tell them what they are doing. After all, the democracy that we all practice is for all Nigerians, and it is our desire that we continue to strengthen that bond of trust that should exist between those who have been elected into office or appointed into office and those who have elected them, so that we can consolidate and deepen our democracy. Also, special town hall meetings have been instituted. The ministry and its agencies have gone around the country. We will continue to do that. We have not been able to deepen that so much, but in the year 2025, we'll do so much of these town hall meetings, because when we went to Jigawa, Lagos, Kano, Kaduna, especially on the tax reform, the latest one we did on the tax reform, we saw that there's a need for the Ministry of Information and its agencies to deepen its engagement with the Nigerian public so that people will get to know more about the activities and programs of government. And let me also say, Mr. Chairman, that the ministry has also instituted what it calls the National Communications Team. Now, the need for that arose because we have seen that sometimes you don't find information managers going the same direction when it comes to information management. So the ministry, in conjunction with those who manage information in the presidential villa, for example, the presidential spokesperson, the Ministry of Information and all its agencies, have what is called the National Communications Team. They come together periodically to examine what there need to be said to Nigerians about programs and policies of government, and also take feedback. So we strategize so that we can have a cohesive message at all times that we give to all Nigerians. We have engaged, of course, as you also know, the media, the mainstream, and of course even the online media, by use of infographics, personal information, press releases. I know you know that every day you see chunks of press releases, either from the ministry directly or from any of its agencies. And I want you to know also that it is not only the Ministry of Information that you also get information about activities and programs of government. The Ministry of Information and National Orientation has information officers that it has posted to these various ministries. Now there is a portal that we have also strengthened by the way of information coming from these ministries coming in there so that Nigerians can be better informed. This portal, this site have been reinvigorated. We urge all Nigerians to go back there and look. All of this, of course, is important so that we can improve on policy awareness, and we can also take feedback from the Nigerian public. Now, this very important one, the strategic engagement on the National Values Charter. I know that we all know that because Mr. President places a high premium on values orientation and reorientation of all Nigerians, he has rechristened this ministry that was erstwhile called the Ministry of Information and Culture. It is now called the Ministry of Information and National Orientation. Now the emphasis there is not just in the name, it is also in the intention, the deliberate intention of Mr. President to put premium, to put so much focus on the value orientation. I've said it over and over, and Mr. President has given us this mandate that it's not enough for government to be seen to be building roads. It is not enough for government to be seen to be constructing hospitals. It is not enough for government to be seen to be even putting money in education. We will need to inculcate the right values to our citizenry, especially the young ones, so that Nigerians can reclaim once again the lost glory. We know that during the time of our forebearers, the people in the first democratic experiment, Sir Ahmadu Bello, the Tafawa Balewa, the Azikiwes, the Dr. Nnamdi Azikiwes, all of them, when we talk about them, the tendency is that we say our founding fathers have done so well. But what has happened since they left the scene, we are still unable to stop talking about them. Now the idea is to replicate Azikiwes, replicate the Awolowos, replicate the Ahmadu Bellos, especially among our young people, so that Nigeria can once again begin to think and talk and act as Nigerians. And I'm happy to mention that because the president puts the premium on that in his first for a New Year message, he has said that he is himself going to lead the National Values Charter campaign, which is going to be launched within the first quarter of this year. The president himself is going to lead that so that all of us will come together, assess ourselves. What is it that we have done, or what is it that we have not done? Why is Nigeria, the values in our country are gradually being eroded to the point that people want to jump out of the country, and as they do, we want to, as they jump out, we also want them to jump back to this country through this one, so that Nigeria will become, yes, and we do hope that especially the young ones amongst us will do that. Now, we have held engagements with critical stakeholders, Nigerian Institute of Public Relations, the Newspaper Proprietors Association of Nigeria, the Broadcasting Organization of Nigeria, the Nigerian Union of Journalists, the Nigerian Guild of Editors, all of them. We are working together to ensure that Nigeria returns to its old glory. And I have said, wherever I have the opportunity to speak, that it is not good for you to, whenever you open your mouth, you talk ill about your country. At a time that we are doing reforms, at a time that we want to reclaim our lost glory, at a time that we are looking for FDI, the foreign direct investment, at a time that we want other people to come and believe in our country, It is not right all the time that when you open your mouth, everything you say about your country is bad. We are not saying that you cannot criticize what happens in your country. This is not what I'm saying. But what I'm saying is that it is important that you also know, for people to believe in your country, you have to believe in your country first and foremost. No one else will do it but yourself. Of course, in the process of that, like I said, a lot of media appearances. Some of them we do, some of them the heads of agencies, some of them people in the presidential communication team, and many others by other stakeholders, directors and others, and then even sometimes people that we have delegated are talking to Nigerians about what we do. We need to deepen that, Mr. Chairman. We need to tell Nigerians more about our stories, about what government is doing, and this brings us to the issue of the budget. I recall when we appeared before you last year, Mr. Chairman, you led the vanguard of saying that the allocation to the Ministry of Information was grossly inadequate for it to carry out its mandate. We have also come to this point that instead of the budget to improve, we are also seeing what is happening. We need your support to strengthen us, to strengthen this budget so that Nigerians can be better informed. Information management is not an aside function. Information is a function of decision making. Information sector should be in the forefront of every decision making process, whether in government or in the private sector. And if you don't do that, then you come back and trail, and we don't want to be trailing. We want to be ahead so that we can inform Nigerians better, so that Nigerians can get to know about government policies and programs better, so that Nigerians can ask the right questions, and then these right questions can go back to government, and government will in turn make corrections, make amends where necessary, and forge forward. I don't want to bore you with that. I will go straight to the budget figures, Mr. Chairman. I want you to go to page 4, if you have the same document with me, and see what it was. What we try to do is we go as far back as 2023 to see the kind of appropriation made, but I won't talk about that much, but the document is before you. Same page, you have the on the next page rather, you have the 2024 appropriation. In 2024, when the ministry had two other ministries tied to it, the Ministry of Culture, Arts and Creative Economy, and the Ministry of Tourism, all tied together. We started off like that in 2024, before two ministries were created, and then they were unbundled from the Ministry of Information and National Orientation. The personnel cost that year was 4.747 million. I want you to know that much as the people in the Ministry of Information and National Orientation, the personnel, are more in number, but this covered the other ministries as well, Ministry of Culture and Creative Economy, and the Ministry of Tourism. Of course, we know that that has further been consolidated because Ministry of Tourism has now been merged with the Ministry of Arts, Culture and Creative Economy. In terms of overhead, we had a submission of 3.892,306,595 as overhead. Of course, these are the way they were released. Total releases on the next page: 3,806,595 naira. Expenditure: 3,806,196 naira 46 kobo. We still have a balance of 9,490,000 that returned to Treasury. Now on the capital budget, and I'm still on the 2024 budget, we had the appropriation of 3,196,335,612 was appropriated for the ministry in 2024. This, of course, as we have said earlier, was grossly inadequate. And I have a table of how much was paid, how much is awaiting payment from the Office of the Accountant General of the Federation, the payment in process with the ministry itself, and also the ongoing projects. They are all captured on page 5 of that document. We had also the IGR, the internally generated revenue. Now, the amount generated in total was about 57,941,000, and the amount remitted to government is 57,941,900. I want to say that we had 100% remittance to government from the internally generated revenue. The revenue, of course, you can see is very low. That is why we want further investment to go into that so that we can generate more revenue, and in turn some of the activities of the ministry and some of its agencies will become largely self-reliant. Now on the second, the next page, on page 7, you have details of that, including all the other things, the tender fee, the sale of publication, federal tenders, journal, the filming fees, the federal government praise, and all that. It came to 96,692,211.70 kobo. I don't want to bore you with all that, but I want to go, Mr. Chairman, straight away to the 2025 budget. Now, the total allocation to the Ministry of Information and National Orientation is 8,907,032,332,086 kobo. This is the total allocation this year for the Ministry of Information and National Orientation. Now, what is of note is that even the overhead that was about 3.8 billion in the preceding year has come drastically down to about 1.2 billion. So instead of us to have an appreciable progression, what we are seeing is some kind of slide going backwards. And I think that it is necessary that we pay more attention to these figures so that we can help this sector to grow, so that the sector can fully implement the mandate given to it by Mr. President, consistent with the Renewed Hope agenda. I want to pause here, Mr. Chairman, because the submission is already with you, to allow you time to make observations where necessary, and where there are comments that need to be made, I can then come back to make them. I want to thank you once again for giving us this opportunity, and to thank you for the work you are doing to strengthen our democracy. Thank you very much.
It's, the budget, the allocation is grossly inadequate. Even what you got last year during the 2024 amendment budget, not amendment, yeah, is far higher than what you are getting, even when the budget is far way higher than what we're having in 2024. We're having about 47-point-something trillion naira for this financial year. Now I can't imagine a ministry which is saddled with responsibilities of dissemination of information and communicating the government policies to the nooks and crannies of this country, not to be having a substantial percentage of that particular budget. I'll be giving the meagre amount of 8-point-something billion as a capital. So I don't know where can we even take us to, where we're having some other agencies that are not even saddled with such responsibility having 8 billion naira as their capital one agency, and some is even having a fee way higher than that. So it is not acceptable to us, as our Senate counterpart has rightly remarked yesterday. I will still dwell on that, but before I do that, let me allow my colleagues, if there's any of them that want to chip in one or two. Thank you.
As a committee, we are not happy that you have this meager amount to do your work for 2025. So I rise to support my chairman, and we are speaking on behalf of this committee that we are rejecting this budget proposal for Ministry of Information. The ministry is there with 8 other agencies. In this time, at this time that the ministry is saddled with the responsibility of reorientating our people. We have a budget of 48 trillion and a meager amount of 8 billion is appropriated to this ministry. It's not acceptable to us. And I'm sure I'm speaking the minds of everybody here. If it is carried, then, Mr. Chairman, you have to discharge them while we carry this protest to the appropriate quarters. Thank you.
Or he is making a suggestion. If it is a motion, then it has to be formally done so that we can.
Thank you. I don't think it's a motion. It's a remark. Motion will come later, but I want everybody to.
Information to our people and just to orientate them on the government policies and what is going on. I want to join my voice with my colleagues on your budget. Having said that, I want to ask you, because you have a IGR for 2024, but we cannot see your projection for the IGR in 2025. Because if you can improve on your...
Is there?
Yes, but if this is an observation that we are rejecting the budget, but this is IGR that's supposed to.
Is there?
So the projection for 20, I have not seen it yet. Is there. So I believe if you can improve on that your IGR, at least it's going to help you, because we know there is no amount of money even allocated to you that will be adequate with the responsibility that you have and all the agencies under you. But I just want you to also look in that direction so that you'll be able to increase your generated revenue. Thank you very much.
To me, I remain Tijani Kayode Ismail. My is of the observation I had when I tried to glance through the main budget submitted by the President. We discovered that a lot of agencies are doing the responsibility, they are carrying out the responsibility of ministries, Ministry of Information and National Orientation, including the National Orientation Agency itself. So some of those money appropriated in those agencies, is there anything you are doing on it to make sure we're able to recover them back to you? Yes. Yes. Because you see in some line item in an agency, you see orientation and sensitization of people on drug, whatever. It's not their duty. And it's not in their mandate. It's in the gazette of every agency for the duty they are to carry it out. I'm saying this because I felt it's not proper and it's not in order. And again, I will still lend my voice to the voice of my other colleagues to support the agency, because they have a lot of responsibility, not even in the country alone, across the shore. We have VON, they have offices abroad, and they are servicing those offices. How will they survive? In South Africa, in America, all these agencies under ministry have all these offices operating. How did they survive if we did not? I lend my voice and I join my colleagues to support that the fund is inadequate, and we will not support this.
The Minister for Information, I listened carefully and enjoyed your submission. You're a fanatical lover of this country, and I appreciate that. I looked into the budget process. I support the entire proposal from the leadership of the committee, but I want to say this. The question, every ministry prepares their own budget. I would love to know what budget was prepared by your ministry before this came to us. Probably some other agencies altered your budget, because I know you wouldn't have given yourself an 8 billion. That's number one. Number two, looking clearly into this budget proposal, it says 2024 you return back into treasury. This is something that you see happen in Western world. That's why I said, for your ministry, you must be one of the finest ministers you have in this country. Because I've not come about any agency or ministry, in all fairness, and this is my second time in the National Assembly, returning funds into, it might unfortunately have been an albatross to your ministry now, because you're being truthful, you're being straightforward, you're being forthright. And this should not be seen as an albatross to allow a budget of meager 8-point-something billion come to your ministry. I stand and adopt the resolution made by the committee leadership that this be rejected. Thank you.
Most of us have traveled out of this country. We have seen the image of this country being portrayed outside. You are the image maker. Believe you me, I know you have that zeal. This is not my first interaction with you. This is probably the second or third. I can see how fashionable you are in trying to move the image of this country. But please, don't be bothered with this meager budget to kill your morale in making Nigerian people proud of you. 8.9 billion is grossly inadequate, even apart from the overhead, that is the staff salaries of 3-point-something billion, 5-point-something billion, you are left with only 1.2 billion to do all what you intend to do, which I believe whosoever think that amount is enough, believe you me, is an enemy of this country. He doesn't want the ministry to perform so that our image can be laundered, so that we can be a proud Nigerians. I therefore lend my voice to the voice of other colleagues that we should reject this budget in toto until when the issue is resolved, the right thing is given to you so that you can make Nigeria proud. Sir, let me be, I am just a patriotic Nigerian, but I am from the opposition extraction. I am from PDP. If I should say, let be, you know, it is disservice to the nation, not to APC. But I'm a patriotic Nigerian. I want Nigerians' image to be laundered so that you can do the job appropriately. Thank you very much, my chair, for giving me this opportunity.
Because this is a committee. This committee report is subject to the plenary, that is to the whole house. I think we have to apply, in whatever you do, you apply diplomacy. I am not saying the budget is adequate. It's inadequate. And it's not just this ministry. What I would suggest is we recommend to the main committee that we have a challenge with the Ministry of Information about their budget. Let them do something about it. But for us at this committee to say that we reject the budget uprightly, abruptly, I think it's not right. Let us make a case for the Ministry of Information. That is just my own submission. Thank you.
We can only make a case for the ministry through the appropriation committee that the battery amount given to the office of the Ministry of Information is nothing to write home about. Then the Honourable Minister, I listened to you, though I came a bit late, while you were, before you presented the budget, you were talking about the reorientation of our core values in the country, which is very, very important, because your ministry is like the image maker of this country, because you have to project the image of this country. And under your ministry, you have the NOA, that is the National Orientation Agency. The last time this committee visited them, we told them that they are not, I personally said in that meeting that they are not visible. You understand? They need to be more visible. You understand? Because you talked about the values of those days of Nnamdi Azikiwe, Awolowo's. You understand? These days is total departure from what we used to have those days. These days you have the issue of the get rich quick syndrome, whereby every youth wants to get rich overnight. And this is the work of the NOA. They are supposed to educate the youth about the ease of those kind of behaviors. Like you talk about kidnapping, ritual killing, the issue of Yahoo Yahoo is the work of NOA. You understand? So we need to reorientate our youth on the core values of even hard working, going to school. But these days, what the NOA do, they just take few minutes from a particular program and talk about just some core values. They need to take at least a section, 1 hour or 2, and talk about all those core values. You can even talk about the ease of illegal migration. These days you see a lot of our youth languishing in all these African countries. You understand? So there's a lot the NOA need to do, and all this, we still need money to do that. So that's why I want to also support my colleague that we are going to make a case for you to up your budget in this 2025. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for public relations, of which I know the Honorable Minister is, and many of your team are distinguished fellows. Mr. Chairman, my suggestion, the media was awash just recently that a particular government agency proposed about 8 billion for orientation. That is just a component of their budget. I've been in several budget defense sessions. I was in NACA, where they also mentioned the component that had to do with orientation, and several other people. So service-wide, there are so many of these agencies that have components around orientation and information. I want to suggest that we work with the ministry to ensure that if all these resources can be pooled from all these entities and domiciled under those that have the capacity and the responsibility and the knowledge to be able to drive public orientation campaigns. I don't think there's anybody better positioned to even drive campaigns about HIV, AIDS, and all of that than NOA, and I raised it yesterday with NACA. So those that are saying that they want to do orientation campaigns on how to pay, how Nigerians can better pay NEPA bills, I want to spend about 8 billion. I think we should pull these things together. Service-wide, it should be pulled, every element that has to do with orientation and information. Of course, there are some things they have to do themselves, but there is a case for these things to be domiciled. I believe from the Ministry of Information, they post out press officers to all these entities. They can better coordinate and ensure that we get the economies of scale to be able to get a greater impact. So that's my suggestion, Mr. Chairman. Thank you very much. Thank you.
This envelope thing have also enveloped their mind, which is not helping Nigerians, which is not helping us. And we cannot continue this way. When they give you envelope, what you have a plan, and that envelope limits you on the plans you have, then what is the future of the nation? It's like we are joking. Every year the same thing. Every year they bring budget, the same, almost the same narrative. Either computer or repair of vehicles, nothing that will generate or change the narrative. Honorable Chairman, I think it's right time and right time. We, the either chairman of the committees or National Assembly, should stand up and defend Nigerians. Because if they are coming on their own with maybe discussing as a parliament before bringing their budget, because it's a proposal, they're supposed to work with the committees. Okay? And at the end of the day, you bring your problem, we look at it, then we can make a case. But waiting only on a day of budget, they will bring their envelope. At the same time, the same thing that happened last year will still happen again. I therefore, Mr. Chair, to suggest there is no need to reject this proposal. Rather, we will accept this proposal, but we should make a case, a serious case. We did it for EFCC in 2000 last year, and something happened. If we agree as a committee and go and meet the leadership and say, even if we can take orders, that the image of Nigeria is important, that we cannot take this, I think something will happen. Thank you, and God bless us.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
To say that usually, like one of the honorable members has said, the suggestion is actually because it's also in an envelope. And it is difficult for the thinking to go outside the envelope. And therefore, I must say that we are limited. But I know that this is work in progress. And I know that ourselves, the members of the National Assembly, are all working together for a better Nigeria. And whatever processes, legislative processes that we can put in place, I know that you can help us to improve on this. It's not a time for blame game. That is not our mission here. Our mission is to see that we do the right thing for our country, and that is what is propelling many of us to do this job. And so I will say that it is work in progress. Whatever the committee, distinguished members, the honorable members here, deem is appropriate for us to do this job better, we are ever ready to work with them to see that this is achieved. That's point number one. Number two, I had a discussion, especially the honorable member that came last, as if he listened to my speech that I delivered, my remarks before he came. Really, all of us, I could see also the passion about Nigeria in you, like in many of the honorable members. All of us are concerned about this country, and all of us need to work. You don't even have to like anybody to love your country. You don't have to belong to any political party to love your country. But you have a duty to protect and project your country. Wherever you go in the world, there's nowhere you will have the respect that you will have as a Nigerian. In any case, you don't need visa to go to Maiduguri. You don't need visa to go to Lagos. You don't need visa to go elsewhere. But wherever you go, even if it is visa on arrival, somebody will stamp it for you. Nobody will stamp your passport when you are lying in Murtala Mohammed Airport or in Aminu Kano Airport. That means that you are recognized at home. So whatever we do to bring ourselves together for the benefit of our country, this idea of talking bad about our country, this idea of thinking that everything about our country is bad, every other country, we all travel, everyone, everywhere you go, there are problems. But those problems are not in the front burner. The difference between us and those countries is that we put our problems first. I think we should put our opportunities and those right things first, and then solve the problem. This is not to say that we are against criticism about our country. Nobody is, and the president. If the president is not in love with this country, he will not put national orientation in the front burner. He will not talk about national orientation and values charter in the address that he has delivered to Nigerians just about 2 weeks ago. He said it, and he said he's going to lead that vanguard. So the president is very passionate about Nigeria. You don't have to like him to like your country. It is important that all of us recover our senses as a nation and come back and move towards the same direction. I'm not talking politics now, I'm talking Nigeria now. It's absolutely important. But of course, if you belong to our party, I'll be very glad to do that. Now, there's a discussion about illegal migration, kidnapping, and all that. This is what the focus of the National Orientation Agency and the ministry is doing. But I like what the honorable member said, you need money to even do that. Campaigns all over the world of any nature requires you to have resources together. There is a point raised about pooling resources. It's not for me as minister to request that resources are pulled from other places to bring to me. All I want is the resources for me and my agencies and members of staff, and everybody in this sector to do his job. It is the responsibility of the National Assembly to look at whatever it thinks it is necessary for it to do, so that we can have the enabling environment to do our job. Mr. President has been very, very supportive in helping us to do our work. We need this equal support from the National Assembly so that we can take it to the next level. Let me not bore you with so much conversation around it. We want to thank you for seeing it our way, and we want to thank you. And we believe in the National Assembly, in the work that you do, together with the executive, to make Nigeria a better place for every one of us. Thank you very much, sir.
Done will be put in place to ensure that this budget is increased and enhanced. What we are saying, we are not saying we are rejecting everything totally, but the proposal, the capital proposal, is what we are rejecting. which is nothing to write home about, which is grossly inadequate and can never take them anywhere in carry out their statutory responsibilities. And what we are going to do next, like yesterday, our Senate counterpart rejected the whole thing outrightly, but we are rejecting the capital proposal, and we are going to work hard now with our Senate counterpart and ensure that the Minister of Finance and Budget and Minister of Budget and the leadership and the appropriation chairman, both here and that of Senate, are well informed, and we are going to sit with them to ensure that this particular proposal is looked into, and necessary things by showing it up, by increasing the budget, we ensure that that is done before the whole budget activities will be concluded. That is our stand, and that is what we want to say for now. The proposal for the capital is being rejected by this committee, while other proposals are accepted. And that is what we are going to do. We are going to work hand in hand with our Senate counterpart to ensure that the right thing is done. That is our stand. Thank you.